Who invented honey traps? Who managed to seduce U.S. President John F. Kennedy? And what did German spies do to extract classified information? Terrible and Beautiful, where the exhibition "A Thousand Devils" opened. How much does it cost to tour the catacombs with 1 million dead people? And which museum can only be entered with the priest's permission? The strangest punishments for criminals. For what offense was an American housewife left overnight in the deep woods? Why did 3 Ohio convicts dress up as chickens? And how can Brazilian inmates reduce their prison sentences? 200 Danish soldiers arrived in Estonia as part of a rotational deployment, and they were immediately warned to be cautious, especially of the local girls. Danish intelligence agencies issued a warning to their personnel. Allegedly, NATO soldiers in Tallinn and Tartu bars are being targeted by alluring female agents working for Moscow. Claus Hjort Frederiksen, the Danish Minister of Defense, agreed that such concerns were not unfounded. The talk of honey traps has suddenly resurfaced, and surprisingly, it has emerged in the former Soviet Union countries of Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. One of the Estonian intelligence chiefs started warning everyone about the cunning Russians who would employ honey traps and send girl prostitutes. What can an ordinary soldier, a Danish or English soldier who has been deployed to Estonia with their standard weapons, possibly know? Probably not much. Using sexually attractive spies to gather crucial information is an age-old tradition. Even during the time of Catherine de Medici, there existed a so-called Flying Squadron. It consisted of cunning beauties who successfully extracted the most intimate secrets of the French court. Catherine de Medici, to strengthen her position and to gain control of the information within the court, gathered a group of beautiful young women who were skilled in seducing men and knew how to play on their weaknesses. She created an elite club, not a public house, which was frequented by the highest-ranking officials of the royal court. Historians have yet to reach a consensus on the origin of the term honey trap. One version suggests it is linked to the activities of love priestesses working for the East German intelligence service. Before going on a mission, they would spray themselves with a mixture of herbs and honey, which allegedly induced strong sexual desire in men. The Germans, however, were adept at using the basic instinct as a weapon against women. Markus Wolff, the founder of the German intelligence service of the GDR, had a different approach. He selected very handsome, intelligent, charming, and witty men who could easily win over others. Wolff trained over 50 such spies. The heartthrob Spies seduced the secretaries of high-ranking officials in West Germany. This method proved successful, as the spies were willing to go to great lengths to obtain secret information, even marrying their victims. The spy would then claim that he had been forced to work for the Canadian or Argentine intelligence services and was in danger of being sentenced to death if he couldn't pass on any information. Of course, the wives, especially those working for the Canadian intelligence, didn't mind the secrets being shared. Thus, the highest-level NATO secrets were compromised, as the secretaries of high-ranking officials often had access to such channels. Recently, a book on the history of sex espionage in the USSR appeared on bookstore shelves. It is based on the testimony of a defector, a special agent named Vera. She claims that the Soviet intelligence services recruited attractive female students, promising them various benefits and privileges in exchange for fulfilling their civic duty. During their training, the girls were allegedly forced to listen to lectures naked and steam in the bath with male agents, while experienced sexologists taught them special seduction techniques. In the Soviet Union, different methods were employed. Prostitution was illegal in the USSR, but there was a category of so-called currency prostitutes. These women would meet foreign men, and the KGB would select those who could potentially become KGB agents. In exchange for their cooperation, the women were promised that they would not be arrested or fined, and they were given the opportunity to work as agents. Some intelligence historians claim that these ladies were extremely attractive, possessed artistic talent, and could charm virtually any man, regardless of rank or marital status. In general, the women who were willing to collaborate with the NKVD and assist them were usually immigrants. This was often due to their nostalgia for their homeland. They understood that the country, their homeland, was still their homeland, and they couldn't help but respect it. Many prominent politicians have fallen victim to honey traps, including the 35th President of the United States, John F. Kennedy. Ellen Romich, a native of East Germany who moved to the United States from West Germany, played the classic role of a sex agent. In Washington, she became a star at the Quorum nightclub, which was frequented by high-ranking officials. Through them, Ellen gained access to the president. John Kennedy fell for her. Subsequently, the intelligence agencies warned that the girl was not just an ordinary East German, but might be connected to German intelligence services. However, Kennedy feared the potential scandal and the possibility of Ellen's arrest and a public trial. If it became known that the President of the United States had shared state secrets with his lover, it could have ended in impeachment or even a criminal case against the president. Later, the State Department denied that John Kennedy could have given Romich any secret information. The former lover preferred to expel his mistress from the country. The success of this special operation remains a mystery to historians, and it is classified as top secret. It is difficult to judge the success or failure of such operations. Kennedy did pass on some information to Romich, but it is hard to say how valuable it was to the intelligence services. Kennedy was a military man and understood what could be discussed and what could not. Near the entrance to the Denfert Rocher metro station in Paris, there is a small pavilion. It is here that the descent begins to the famous French catacombs. The Paris catacombs are a network of underground tunnels spanning approximately 1.5 kilometers. From the late 18th century to the early 19th century, around several million human remains were brought here. Today, the total area of these catacombs covers approximately 11,000 square meters. It also functions as a museum open for tourists to visit. In the 18th century, the cemeteries in the ever-growing city of Paris were running out of space. Many of the deceased were not buried but simply left on the streets. This led to the spread of diseases. As a result, Parisian officials banned cemeteries within the city limits. From the 1780s to 1814, the authorities organized the transportation of over 6 million bodies collected from all the existing cemeteries in Paris. The remains were transported on special carts and stacked in the catacombs. This place has become an attraction, a horror show reflecting the different attitudes towards human life during those times. It gives the impression that the dead were treated carelessly, as if they were just something to be disposed of. The Parisian catacombs are patrolled by a special police brigade, established in 1980. The police ensure compliance with the law of November 2, 1955, which prohibits unauthorized individuals from being in the underground galleries of Paris outside the tourist areas. The minimum fine for violating this law is 60 euros. In a small French town called Fontaine de Vaucluse, there is a museum of executions. Its founder served as an executioner in Algeria for 13 years. The exhibition features tools of interrogation and execution from various countries and cultures around the world. The main attraction is considered to be a giant guillotine. Visitors are informed that this instrument of death was last used not so long ago, on September 10, 1977. In the ancient capital of Malta, the city of Medina, there is one of the two most terrifying torture museums in the world. It is second only to the Tower of London Museum. The exhibition is divided into several zones, covering different historical periods. Interestingly, this Maltese catacomb used to be a prison, and some of the exhibits recreate real scenes that were witnessed within these very cells many years ago. Even in small towns, there should be attractions that offer more than just beautiful views and a pleasant atmosphere. If you come across a sign that says Museum of Executions, you might be tempted to add some variety to your 3 days in this small town and step inside. The numerous corridors and chambers depict scenes of torture with life-size wax figures. The experience is enhanced by sound effects, including screams, moans, cries, and other chilling noises. The sacristy of the Church of the Sacred Heart in Italy is not easily accessible to everyone. Tourists from all over the world strive to visit this small museum within the temple. It is said to house evidence of the presence of spirits on earth. Access to this museum is granted only with the permission of a priest, but in reality, it is more of a formality and anyone can enter. The museum showcases a vast collection of artifacts related to the existence of spirits. This unusual collection was started by the church's rector in 1912. Today there are hundreds of exhibits connected to ghosts. For example, there is a nightcap with fingerprint impressions allegedly belonging to a ghost. Many visitors to the museum claim that they were unable to develop photographs of the exhibits. Some call it devilry and demand that the museum be removed from the church. On the other hand, a Lithuanian museum seems to fit the description of devilry quite well. It can be called the home of the goblin, as it represents fears and superstitions. People may visit this museum to confront their fears, as devils are often easily depicted or modeled, presenting a comfortable and familiar image. The Museum of Devils was established in 1966 based on the personal collection of the Lithuanian artist Antanas Žmuidzinavičius. By 1991, they had gathered 1,742 exhibits. The Kaunas branch of the devilish collection is the largest in the world today. Devils made from ceramics, wood, metals, leather, plastic, and other materials have been brought in from 23 countries, and the collection continues to grow. This stone structure is called the Wall of Tears by the residents of the Galapagos Islands. It stands at a height of 25 meters and is approximately 100 meters long. The wall, built from volcanic slag, was constructed by prisoners of the local colony over a period of 14 years, from 1945 to 1959. Despite crossing the island, the wall serves no purpose and protects nothing. It is simply a geometric arrangement of stones, a pointless construction. It was created through the labor of prisoners, designed to make them work without any meaningful purpose, causing them suffering. Archival records indicate that thousands of prisoners died during the construction of the wall. People perished from thirst, exhaustion, and diseases. Many fell from great heights and met their demise. Thus, the name Wall of Tears is fitting, as it symbolizes the suffering endured by the prisoners. They toiled, lived under the open sky, and died. Their bones concreted into the very wall they built. The prison administration in the Brazilian city of Santa Rita do Sapucaí offers inmates the opportunity to atone for their crimes through labor. Convicts generate electricity on special bicycles connected to dynamos. Each shift spent pedaling on these bikes is equivalent to 1 day reduced from their sentence. This experiment gained significant popularity among the prisoners, with many convicted individuals in Brazil submitting applications and expressing their desire to be transferred to this prison to have their sentences reduced. According to legal experts, the most original methods of rehabilitating convicts are practiced in the United States. Judge Michael Cicconetti forced 3 young men to dress up in chicken costumes and shout the slogan, "No Chicken Ranch in Paynesville," outside the courthouse. This was their punishment for attempting to engage in illegal intimate services. Cicconetti explained that this masquerade was a reference to the famous Chicken Ranch brothel in Nevada, where prostitution is legal. America operates under the Anglo-Saxon legal system, where judges have a broader role. They have the authority to impose punishments they deem necessary for the rehabilitation of convicts. In this system, judges are limited only by their imagination when it comes to sentencing. Michael Cicconetti refers to his sentences as creative. The judge always presents the accused with a choice between a prison term or an original punishment without imprisonment. For instance, 26-year-old housewife Michelle Murray spent a solitary night in a cold forest as punishment for abandoning 35 kittens in a park, 9 of which died from the cold. As for the vandals who punctured the tires of a school bus, they were ordered to organize a picnic for elementary school students. What do you think about it? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your opinion is very important to me. Don't forget to give me a like if you liked it and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss new episodes. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.